Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Your Number One Fan podcast. I'm your host, Kim Spencer, your number one fan. Episode topics will vary with the ultimate goal of providing the inspiration, encouragement, and tools for you to create your most authentic, happy life. I want this to be your weekly comfort podcast that also gives you a little kick in the butt to live your life to the fullest and not care what anybody says. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into the good stuff. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Your Number One Fan podcast. Today I have Gabby Mottershead, I believe. She says it a lot more nice than I do. But we're going to talk about a lot of things today. She helps people after cancer treatment kind of realize their life, get inspired, give tools and encouragement to live that life, and kind of also acknowledges how it can be tough to move on and fully embrace life after cancer treatment. So we're going to get into her story and then what she's learned through working with different people in her own life journey, and just a lot of inspiration, encouragement, honesty in this episode I'm hoping for. So if you want to introduce yourself, Gabby, and then we can get into your story.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Gabby Mottershead. I'm in Manchester in England. I'm 15-year cancer survivor now, but I'd start with telling my story really is, I think like a lot of people, I had sort of built my identity and my whole life really around climbing the corporate ladder. I, for a long time, thought that was what was important in life. And I wouldn't say my cancer diagnosis was a blessing, but it just shifted the way that I look at the world. It shifted what was important to me. You know, I had a husband, I had 2 children, but did I spend a lot of time with them? Did I always put them first? No. Did I put myself first? No. And so I'd learned over the years how to be a good corporate employee. And so my cancer diagnosis really was a chance for me to learn more about myself and what I needed to make myself happy, fulfilled, joyful.
That's super important is, what these big things, whether it's a diagnosis or not, it really changes your worldview and changes your priorities. How did you find out about your diagnosis, and what were you in the middle of life-wise? Were you just juggling your corporate life and your family? Or?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I speak to a lot of other people, they have similar stories to tell. And I'm going back to 2007. And for me, that was quite a stressful year. I had a lot going on at work, ended up with resigning from the job that I was in. I was very happy in my role, but I got a new boss. And for a while I was bullied at work. Then I went off sick. Then I was very, very stressed at one point. Then my father-in-law got diagnosed with cancer. He was quite elderly, but we didn't expect him to die. And he went into hospital in November 2007. So there's a lot of stuff going on that was really, really intense. And then in December 2007, I was having a shower, and it wasn't even a lump. It was like a thickening in my skin. And I thought, that doesn't feel quite right. But, you sort of think, well, I was only aged 44. I'll get that checked out. And the way it panned out is my father-in-law died the day after Christmas Day. And I was already booked in then for hospital tests. So I got my diagnosis of inflammatory breast cancer a couple of days after his funeral. So again, very, very intense. Just felt like I was living in a bit of a bad dream. Felt like this was not really happening to me. It all seemed really surreal. And then plunged straight into high-dose chemotherapy for 6 months, then a mastectomy, then radiotherapy, and then reconstruction. And I think when I first got diagnosed, I was a very positive person, but very can-do and very, this is not going to derail my life. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do everything the doctors tell me to do. And then I'm just going to go back to my old life, because I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be a cancer patient. That's not for me. And I was very much of that mindset.
Yeah.
And so I went through all my treatment and started off being a model patient, just doing everything the doctors told me to do, because that was their world and I knew nothing. And then a couple of things. I remember maybe my second or third appointment with my oncologist. And I said to him, you know, I wanted to do everything. What should I be eating? What is the right food that I should be eating? And he said, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat. And I thought, really? You know, I don't know anything about nutrition. That doesn't sound right to me. And that's when I started to question a lot of what I was being told. So I went through my treatment and I was learning about nutrition. I was learning about relaxation because I realised I was so stressed. And at the end of the treatment, I felt like I fell off the end of a cliff. I'd had all these medical people giving me all this attention. And again, my identity had changed. I had become this cancer patient who was surrounded by other cancer patients. I was going to groups. I joined a choir that was all cancer patients. You know, I was doing all these different things. And at the end of it, when they said, okay, you don't need any more treatment, I thought, right, this is the time when I'm going to jump back onto my old life. You know, I see these films of women in pink tutus running around a park. Yay, I'm a survivor. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to feel triumphant. I'm going to feel victorious. And I didn't feel any of those things. I was depressed. I was anxious. And I really didn't want to go back to my old job. I didn't want to go back to my corporate life, but I didn't know what else I could do. I've been doing that for so long. And yeah, it was a really anxious time for me and very lonely because I felt very guilty because I thought, oh, my friends and family want me to be back to how I was before. My medical team, you know, we're very lucky in England. We have the wonderful National Health Service. So I had a huge medical team of people, you know, at no cost to us. We don't pay for it. That had put me back together, if you like, and I wouldn't say cured me, but with inflammatory breast cancer, they say no evidence of disease is the best you're going to get. And I'll take that. That was good. Yeah. So I should have been happy. That's what I felt. So guilty. Why am I not happy? Why am I not feeling triumphant? Why am I so depressed? And I would just weep for days. It felt like I was just so low and so anxious, and I'd lost all my confidence. And I felt very alone because I didn't think it was something that was nice to talk about how low I felt, because everyone else was like wanting me to be back how I was. And so it felt very lonely. And I think social media played a bit of a part in that. I was reaching out to some other people who said they felt the same. I thought, oh, well, maybe it's not that unusual then to feel so low when treatment ends. And you think this is the time you bounce back. This is the time you go running around the park. And I just didn't want to do anything. And a lot of things just didn't interest me anymore. My priorities in life had totally changed. But I was really struggling to know, well, what do I do next? And how do I get myself better? And what should I be eating? What should I be doing? How should I be spending my time? It was like uncharted territory for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you got that diagnosis, you know, no further disease. I'm sure you have to follow up and it's still, you know, in the back of your mind. But I've never experienced that, obviously. But I feel like I can understand what you mean, where it's like your whole life shifts one way and then your whole life shifts another way. And maybe in the moment you didn't realize how much you were being affected by all the attention you were getting, and how, you know, you were coming first during that time. And then it just ends and you're meant, I mean, I've never really thought about it that way, like how much changes, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies. I mean, but I think it's really good that we talk about these things, because you can feel so alone and you can feel so guilty. And I was just talking to somebody who struggled with postpartum depression, and it's the same type of idea where, you know, you're supposed to be in the happiest time of your life having a baby and you just did this amazing thing, but it's not so easy. And it feels, I'm sure you felt the guilt of, you know, other people who didn't make it through, you know? So yeah, that's gotta be, you know, hard. So when you were in the moment feeling, or in the moments feeling so depressed and down and sad, did you understand why you were feeling that way? Or now looking back, you realize what it was?
I think looking back, it gives you some perspective, and it's easier to understand that. And there's somebody in the UK who's quite high profile, a lady called Trisha Goddard. I don't know if you know her, and she had breast cancer, but then she suffered with depression, and she said she spoke openly about it. So when you've got breast cancer, you get chocolates and flowers and get well cards, but when you've got depression, people don't know what to say to you. And they don't come round with flowers. They're just, a lot of people think, well, you just need to get on with it, or you just need to pull yourself together, because it's just not understood in the same way as having cancer gives you it does give you, gets you a lot of sympathy, and there's a lot of fear attached to it as well, because for a lot of people, the minute you say cancer, they think death. Whether it's you or the people around you, it's a scary thing. I know that, and I get that. And you're right, I got very friendly with some people who were on the same journey as me. We were going through treatment together, and then they died. And again, that adds to the guilt, thinking, well, I'm lucky to be here. Why am I not feeling great? I should be grateful. I shouldn't be in this dark place that I was, feeling sorry for myself. Now, looking back again, it's much easier now that I look back, and I can say it's very understandable. Not just the ravages of chemotherapy completely destroys your energy, everything about your body. I've still got side effects now, but they're manageable. But you've just been through so much. It is like being in a car crash, and you're just thrown out at the other end with, okay, off you go now.
Yeah, which also feels very symbolic of being pregnant and having all those appointments and attention, but I mean, I don't want to compare that to cancer, obviously, but it's the same type of idea. I'm so happy that you are feeling better cancer-wise, and I know you said you still have some side effects and things. How long were you in chemo and going through all the treatment?
Sure. So I got diagnosed in the January 2008. Just went through chemo. I think it was for 6 months until June, and then got a couple of weeks off before. The idea with my type of cancer, and every type of, I didn't realise so many different types of breast cancer. The type I had, the chemo was first to shrink the tumour, and then I actually had a scan at the end of May, and they said, "Oh, the tumour's completely gone," and I was like, "Yay!" But they said, no. It's the type that you've had, inflammatory breast cancer, is highly likely to come back. And so we recommend a mastectomy. Even though there's no evidence of cancer in there, it might come back. If you don't have the mastectomy, it's very likely to come back. So that was a real mind mess as well, because I was thinking in my heart, I was thinking the cancer's gone. I can relax now. But then there's the fear of, if I don't do what they say and it comes back, I've only got myself to blame, because I should have. They're the experts, they know. So that was, something that I wrestled with as well for quite a while. But I did. I had the mastectomy. I wanted to do the right thing. My husband really wanted me to have it, because he just thought, just do everything that they say. They're the experts. You must do it. And so that was in June. And then in the July and August, it was radiotherapy, which after everything else, everyone's different. And I've made the mistake of telling somebody that it was a doddle and it was really easy. And then somebody that I knew really struggled with radiotherapy and got quite badly burned by the machine. So everyone's different. But for me, that was the easy part, was the radiotherapy.
Yeah. Wow. Regardless of how long it is, I'm sure. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Like, stops your life, but also starts it. I can't even imagine the feelings. But my audience is largely women, so I feel it would be irresponsible to not say what we should be looking out for. So is there anything that you learned, or in your own experience, you said a thickening. So were you surprised that it wasn't an actual ball of tumor or something?
Yeah. I expected a tumor to feel, I don't know, like an egg, like something solid, and it wasn't. It was like a thickening in the skin. And there's a term for it, it was like orange peel. We think about the way that an orange is quite thick-skinned and dimpled. Some people experience some symptoms like that. So I think, again, talking to a lot of other people that I've met, it's just any changes. You don't want to get paranoid. You don't want to be living in fear, but you get to know your own body and just be aware of any changes. And most times, if you find any changes, it could just be an infection. It could be, a blocked duct, it could be a cyst, it could be something quite innocent, but just get it checked out.
Yeah.
Just do that. And again, as women, I think we all think, oh, I won't make a fuss. I don't want to make a fuss. I'll just carry on. And that is the worst thing you can do sometimes, because the earlier that you find a tumour or cancer or anything,